Hey there, it's Andrea. Welcome to the Voice of Influence podcast. This is episode 300. Ching. So excited that we have made it to episode 300. Every time we make a big milestone, I'm like, did we really do that? Did we really make that many episodes? And actually, yeah, we have. In fact, we've been around since 2017. A long time. Quite a few years. So, yeah, it's great to be with you here today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening, watching, however it is that you consume your podcasts. It is really, really an honor that you would choose to listen to Voice of Influence podcast. And thank you for making it possible for us to just keep going. Today, I want to talk about the importance of significance. When my husband and I first got married, one of the things that he talked about wanting to do someday was to go on some sort of mission trip with his family when they were older. And so that's always kind of been in the back of our minds as a goal for us. Because it would be really cool to take your family someplace, get them out of their comfort zones and get them in a new position where they can learn about another culture and maybe contribute in some way, but definitely to see something other than what they're used to seeing. And so this January, it was the end of January, we spent 2 weeks in Kenya. And we finally did it. We went to Kenya and it was just an incredible experience. The long and short of how we got there, my husband Aaron he's a Rotarian, and so one of the other Rotarians in his particular Rotary group, they go on eye clinic medical mission trips to Kenya, Western Kenya, every year, every January for the last number of years. And so Aaron's been hearing about this for a long time and thought maybe this would be the right fit for us because he is in the medical field as well. And sometimes doctors go, other people go and provide other kinds of care depending on what is needed or wanted and um so that's what we decided to do. In the process, we also met another Rotarian who is connected and has gotten connected to this group that does these eye clinics. But she is actually somebody who started an orphanage in Kakamega, Kenya. It's not just an orphanage, it's a school for orphan children and abused and neglected children. She started this about 20 years ago, brought some kids in off the street, said, "Hey, we'll give you an education." They started to act up a little bit. She said, "Hey, look, this is the deal. If you're going to be a part of our school, then this is how you behave. If not, then you can go back to where you came from." Now, that might be a little um a little more harsh than what it came off as. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how she said it, but essentially she kind of gave him this ultimatum. And these kids, maybe a couple left, but since then, they these kids who come into the school system are all very respectful of the process and of the teachers and the other students that are there. And the tone and the culture that they have set at these schools is just really admirable. So we had the opportunity to meet her in the United States before we left, and then to visit the schools and spend some time with those children when we went. And I want to share with you one of my main takeaways. There were so many. There were so many amazing things. It was so special to have our kids get a chance to be a part of something. Um, there were points before we got there when they were wondering, why in the world are we even going? How am I connected to this? What is my significance here? And the very first day we were with the schools, it was so evident why they were there. because our kids had an opportunity to connect with these other kids. And so they were giving, receiving love and attention and admiration and non judgment, and just were able to share their cultures a little bit and understand each other a little bit. It was very special for them. It was special for my husband to be able to do some physical therapy screenings, make some recommendations, and that sort of thing. There were all kinds of things going on. But one of the things that I really took from that experience was that there was a lot of ceremony around us being there, which, is a little uncomfortable because you're kind of put in the spotlight. And I didn't want them to think that we needed that, or were asking for that. I didn't want to show up as somebody that's here to save the day for them. But thankfully, that is not how we were cast. We were cast as visitors who are our guests, who were their guests. And the hospitality that they showed us when we first got there, we were introduced to the junior high kids all together because this was a weekend and we were going to be spending some time with them on a weekend. And so they highlighted who we were, gave them a chance to hear from us a little bit, and then um we had the opportunity to eat with them. The hospitality that they shared was that they gave us even more and even more special cuisine than they were going to have, which was hard to accept because, when you're in that position, you don't want to, at least from my perspective, you don't want to do or take more than what other people have the opportunity to take. And yet at the same time, this is their way of showing honor and respect and love and gratitude. So for us to deny that or that sort of thing would not have been a good look, right? In some ways, you just you embrace it um and demonstrate your own gratitude. And so they would have these moments where maybe we would present gifts that came from donors and we were representative of donors. So we were able to present them with things, they received them. Um and they and the teacher, the head person of these schools, her name is Alice. And Alice would make sure that we said, "Here you go," and they said, "Thank you," but they said thank you in a way that it was like they were recognizing the significance of this moment. They were recognizing that we recognize that they are important, that somebody cares about them. We're talking orphans, kids who have been abused and neglected. To have somebody else come in and say, "You are worth donating these items to. You are worth traveling all the way to see you. You are worth that. You are valuable." That that was like, oh man, like she kept giving them the opportunity to see that they were valuable and that this was a meaningful moment. And so she would make sure that everybody involved saw that we are grateful for you and we are grateful for this relationship. And we see that you have meaning, you are important, you're important to us, and we see that we are important to you. And so there was this opportunity to acknowledge each other's value, acknowledge that something significant had been done. And when that happened, when we had these moments of celebration and significance, it just deepened the relationship and it deepened the understanding that we had of one another and our gratitude for this relationship. So there were a number of other scenarios where there was this sort of ceremony around us being there, but also around highlighting the significance of these children and the work that they are doing, of the teachers and their teaching technique. Like we got to sit in on a class and see how the classroom is run in such a really great way, and the reason why they're getting some of the best test scores in math in the country. We got to see these different aspects of their community, of their school, and in the demonstration, in the presentation of that, there was a sense of pride, and for us, a sense of acknowledging their significance, of the work that they are doing. So there's like this validation of, look who you are, look at what you're doing. That is amazing. And the difference that you're making in these kids' lives. And then not only that, but then the kids seeing that they are worth it, that they are invaluable, that there are people who love them and care about them, and that they have the power to turn their lives into what they want their lives to be. We went on a hike in the rainforest. And so they brought all these junior high kids. I think there were, I don't know, maybe 50 to 75 junior high kids. And we went on this walk in the rainforest with them up this hill, and they were so sweet. Like, they kind of gathered around each of the guests, and we were able to have conversations with them and ask them questions, learn more about them. One of the things that I asked the three girls that stuck with me throughout our journey, I asked them what they wanted to be when they grew up. And the first one said a doctor. The second one said a news anchor. And the third one said, I want to be a global citizen, promoting peace around the world. And what I loved about their answers is that they really believe in themselves. The ceremony, the significance that is placed on the different things that happen in that school system, that it happens on such a regular basis, and that they are given the opportunity to see that their voice matters on a regular basis, and that they're also called to something more, called to growth mindset, called to imagine a world where they are having success, but they are also providing something or giving back. Because that is the consistent message, that is what they believe about themselves. And let me tell you, some of these kids, they grow up in these villages that they're living in grass huts. And how they make it to the school, why they get to the school, it depends. Sometimes it's because a parent dies and they don't have anybody else that can care for them. Sometimes it's because the parents don't have the mental capacity to care for their kids. Sometimes it's because they've been abused in many different ways, neglected. Sometimes it's because these kids are hungry, so they leave their homes and they walk miles and miles, kilometers and kilometers, to get to this school where they've heard that there's a good education and there's food. And they come to the school and they hang around for a few days, asking to be let in. It's kind of hard to imagine, isn't it? But it's these children. It's these children who come from such difficult circumstances where they have been discarded, abused, neglected. Sometimes it's babies that have been set down by the river and somebody finds them. And they come to this school and they are given love. They're given a community. Oh my goodness, it's just getting to me right now. And they're given the opportunity to find themselves. and find their value and their significance in the world. So when these junior high girls tell me they want to be a news anchor, tell me they want to be a doctor, tell me they want to be a global citizen promoting peace, I pay attention and I believe that they can do it. They are working their tails off so that they can get to where they want to go. The thing that really hit me about all of that was the ceremony, the significance, we are highlighting the meaning of everything. This morning I interviewed Carlos Alvarenga, who I'm actually going to share that interview with you in a week or two. I'm not exactly sure, but after this episode, Carlos wrote a book about persuasion. And one of the things he talks about in that book is the difference between sentimentality and emotional connection. And sentimentality is where you're kind of forcing an emotional connection. You're not actually making the emotional connection. It hasn't been earned. It's like pressing in on an emotional topic without really earning the right to talk about it. So there's this sense with sentimentality that it's not earned, that the emotion that comes out because of sentimentality is not earned. Whereas the work that this community, that this educator and the educators that are with her, the work that they are doing feels earned. The significance that they are placing on things. They're not just having ceremony to have ceremony. They're having ceremony to highlight significance, meaning. Why does this matter? And how does it matter to you? And why do you matter more, maybe even, because of this situation, because of where you're at? And I just always highlight that when I'm talking about mattering more, I actually mean that you have more potential for more influence. Everybody matters in the same way. I don't distinguish between how valuable people are. Everybody's valuable in the same amount. So what I took away was that it is very important that we learn how to use ceremony, how to use acknowledgement to highlight significance, to earn the right to claim credibility, to earn the right to say, I want to be a global citizen, bringing peace and promoting peace around the world. It sounds like a crazy thing until you think about what she's been through. And if you knew more about their tribal conflicts that they have and the difficulties that it can bring and make it difficult for some people to rise up in their society, it means something. So I just want to challenge all of us. Here I am. I'm at episode 300. Whew, it's been quite a ride. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon because this stuff is fun. I love having these conversations. I love having the opportunity to interact with podcast listeners when they contact me. Please, please. I love hearing that something that we brought to you made some sort of difference, that it mattered to you in some way, that it was significant. It's not that it's me per se, but it's also you taking something, grabbing a hold of some truth or some insight and doing something with it. There's significance in you doing something with that. And I would love to hear about what you're doing, the work that you are doing, the significance that you have in the world. Not because I need to hear everybody brag about themselves. That's not what this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, where do we find meaning? How do we acknowledge the difference that we're making? Because when we put that in front of one another and we have that sort of ceremony or moment of acknowledgement, that encourages people's voice. It encourages people because they're like, yeah, you know what? That does matter. What I did, what I said, it does matter. It did make a difference. I have agency. I can make something happen. Your voice matters. So, as we're headed into the rest of 2024, whenever you're listening to this, the next few months for you, I'd encourage you to focus a little bit more on acknowledging the significance of the events and the achievements and the connections of those around you, because that builds an authentic culture where every voice matters. And we are here to help you do that. So we've got all kinds of resources available. We have the ability to come in and help with strategic initiatives and to help you define what is it about our team that we need to highlight and make sure that we do here in the future. Do we want to have more of a collaborative learning culture? Do we need the leaders and the more tenured people on our staff to mentor others and share knowledge and wisdom? And do we need the younger people to share their knowledge? Do we need everybody in this company to have a voice of influence? If so, we can help. So reach out. We'd love to just connect, hear about what you're doing, and share about some of the things that we could offer that might help you achieve what you're wanting to achieve. Because your voice matters, and it can matter more.